Hi everyone, I'm going to take you through a few of the steps so that you can create show and tell slides fairly automatically. I've talked about this on Lucid Woodturners a time or two and folks have tracked me down. And so I wrote up some instructions that got posted to the Lucid Woodturners website. And you can find them by going to the Lucid Woodturners website, going down to Document Library, which is what you see here, and then clicking on the yellow folder and going to Instructions and Checklists. And here you'll find Creating Automatic Slides for Show and Tell. You can download that and it'll give you the instructions that I'm going to go over here in this video. So I'm just going to close this window here. So that's where you can find the written instructions. What I'm leveraging is the form builder tool that is available in Google, and there's one small thing that you need to do. There is a Google form, and I'm not going to show you how to use Google Forms. They're fairly easy, straightforward. I encourage you to use them because they're available to everybody and they're free. There's this form publisher, which is a Google Forms add-on, and you'll need to install that by going to the G Suite Marketplace and finding Form Publisher and clicking on Add-on. When you are editing a form and you are the form owner, you can find the Forms Publisher add-on that you have right here under this puzzle piece looking thing. So what I've done is I've already created a Woodturner show and tell submission. This is based on the best practices of the AAW, the American Association of Woodturners, best practices number 38. So I've just followed their form. I've made up a form that allows you to do a pull-down menu. I'm old school from data processing, so I like to separate first name from last name. And so I just went all the way down the form and recreated their paper form in this Google form. Two things that I added that aren't on the form is I added, please upload a picture. And you'll notice there's this little red asterisk here. That means that this is a required field for people to fill in. And it's required. You can see a little tag right here. I've made it required. And I've restricted the image, the things that can be uploaded as either an image or a PDF. I added a second photograph, which is only an image. I can also check PDF here, but it's optional, and you can see that by the required is not entirely blue. If I click that over, it turns blue. I'm making it optional. So those are the two things that are special about this form. If I send this form out, anybody can fill out this form either on their desktop machine or on a mobile device like a phone or an iPad. If they're filling it out from their phone, when they get down here to the please upload a picture, it will let them take a picture right from their mobile device. So if you have something like a photo cube set up at your club meeting, people can walk in, put their show and tell in the photo cube, fill out this form, snap a picture of their object in the photo cube, submit the form, and instantly you'll have material for a slideshow. So I'm going to go back to, here's what I have as the form that you've built in Google Forms. I'm going to point at the little add-on that I talked about earlier, Form Publisher. So if I click on this puzzle piece and click on Form Publisher, which is the add-on. Now, when I started doing this during the COVID-19 pandemic, Form Publisher allowed you to do up to 100 forms every single month for free. And now this is May 24th, and they've cut that back to 20 forms for free every month, but it's $79 for the whole year. I do not work for Form Publisher. I do not work for Google, but $79 was a relatively low bar to be able to do as many slides as I wanted to. So I've clicked on the little puzzle piece and I brought up the Form Publisher window. The first time you bring it up, it'll come up as this floating menu. And I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to walk through each of the menu items on the Form Publisher. First, I'm going to start with template. So it's thinking a second and it's decided that I already have gone into this and I created a template called Member Gallery Single Slide. I could change the template at this point. Anything that I want to could be a template. It could be a Google form. It could be another Google document or a spreadsheet or a slideshow. So for the purposes of what we're doing here, I'm doing a slideshow. I'm going to show you the slideshow. I've got it right up here. And this is the template slide that I built. I'd be glad to share this with you if you just drop me a note. I can click share and add you to it, and you can copy this if you like. You'll notice that I've got 5 slides designed here. These are very simple slides. 2 of them, the first one and the second one, for the first picture and the second picture, have the picture on the left and the description of the picture. It's using the same information on both slides on the right. And then there's a middle slide, which is being used by the person who's putting the slideshow together. If you're consolidating slideshows for several clubs, you can pull that information in. The AAW form actually has a member wishes to have a critique. We don't use that in our club, but I added it to this form. And since I'm not using it in the slide, I'm just putting it in this middle slide. And then I have 2 slides that are exactly like the first 2 slides, except that the picture is on the right and the description is on the left. You could have as many slides here as you want for each individual submission. If you have a lot of design options, you have somebody who's really good at designing slides, maybe you have several slides here. But I just did picture on the left, picture on the right, same information on both slides. And this is all the information that you'll get exactly as it is on the form. And when I say exactly, I mean exactly. So when we look at these slides, you must have exactly the same words between these 2 angle brackets that you have on your form. And if I scroll down here to please upload a picture, as a human being, we don't see it, but there is a space there at the end. And if I design my slide without that space, it would come back with an error. So the way that I get exactly the same thing on the slide as I have in my form is I look at the responses to the form. And if you look on responses, you'll see a little green box here at the top. That is a way for you to look at the responses in the Google Sheets, which is like a spreadsheet. If I click on that, it'll bring up a spreadsheet, and at the top of the top row, at the top of every column, is the name that was in the form. If I double click that, like column G right here, please upload a picture. If I double click that, it captures all of the text, and I can use Control C and cut that and go over to my slide, and I could do a Control V and paste it there, and it will be exactly the same letters. This is really vitally important, or else you'll get errors and it'll drive you nuts. So these brackets, these are the less than and greater than signs, and they are code for the form publisher to insert information that gets submitted from the form. I want to call your attention back to the sheet. This is every single form submission that has come through since the beginning of April. So some of this is me just testing it. Some of this was actually used in meetings for our wood turning clubs. So you see that all of this information, I'm going to highlight this one, No Time to Turn. Paula Nix is a member of our club, and so she submitted this picture, No Time to Turn. I'll show it to you later. And she puts in a description. It captures your email address. She tells us what it's made of, what it is, and so forth. So this spreadsheet reflects everything that's been submitted through this form. And I'll just remind you, this is what it looks like to a member, where they can include their own information. So going back to the form publisher and going at the template. So far I've looked at the slideshow template, and I've shown you that you can change the template, you can edit the template, and now I'm going to go down here to operative markers. This tells me, once I've run Form Publisher, that it has looked at my form and it has looked at my template, and it found 12 matching markers. So 12 things that were being asked for on the form, 12 different sections, and it found 12 different sections in my slideshow template. That's good. I'm going to show you what happens when there is an error. So I'm going to collapse this again, and I'm going to go back to my template. I'm going to click Edit. It's going to start a new form here, and I'm just going to make up a new tag. And I'm going to make it up and close it. So this tag, make it up, is nowhere on my form. So if I click refresh, it's going to go look at my form, and it's going to compare it to the template. Just going to close this out so we don't get confused. And it's going to say, hey, this is an issue. This is a marker that was not found in the template. And it identified it as make it up. You recall, that's what I just put in there. So I'm going to go back to my template, and I'm going to erase that. And I'm going to go back to my form, and I'm going to go to Form Template or Form Publisher and hit refresh. And it's going to say, hey, I found everything. While we're here, I want to show you something that's vitally important to making sure that your slides get created properly. So this is going to look at every single thing in my form and make sure that it's in the slide template. That's great. Remember, I put in 2 places where a user could upload a picture. The first one is required. The second one is optional. And you'll see that these match exactly what's on the form. If I look at Form Publisher, there's this tiny little box that says Insert as an Image. You must check that box right there. Otherwise, in your form, it will put the URL of where the picture is located. If we look here on the responses, where it says, please upload a picture, it'll put that URL, whatever's there, into the slide. It's very confusing. So make sure as you're going through Form Publisher, once you get the number of matching markers that are the same in your form and your slide template, that you scroll down and make sure that those pictures are inserted as images. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the top of Form Publisher. So now we have a form, we have sent it out to our club members, and we have responses. And we have our slideshow template. Perfect. Now we want to keep going. These three little dots here, these are the menu for Form Publisher. So I'm going to go through each of the menu items. Destination folder and naming convention. This is going to ask you, where do you want to put the completed work? So there's this directory in my Google Drive, and you must remember where this is. You have to. So you can change your destination folder. In this case, I have a destination folder called My Drive, Woodturner Club, Show and Tell Submission, and please upload a picture, file responses. If I go back to the menu here, this is where it's going to put the completed slide integrations. I can change the name of the files, and it will use the same thing in the file name as the information that you collected. You can put anything here. In this case, I put the last name, and remember I said I like separating first name and last name. So last name, the name of the club, and if I scroll out here to the far right, it'll say increment. So increment is like 1, 2, 3. If I look in my directory, you'll see I have these increment numbers, 77, 76, 75, 74. So that's where those numbers came from. I've decided that for our next club meeting, I'm going to call it 0601, and I'll start the increment there. If you want to use some time and date stamps, all I did is I revealed this menu by clicking the down arrow, and I scrolled down, and I'm setting my increment to 601. So for the June meeting, it's going to start 601, 602, 603. So the leading number, the 6, is the month that I'm going to be doing it. So it just makes it a little easier to keep track of what the names are. Also, because I like to have one of each, it keeps a PDF copy in the drive. It will also, and I'll show you where it's going to do that, create a PowerPoint version of the file and a Google Slides version of the file. So now we're done with naming the file and where those files are going to be located. Next on our menu is our sharing options and notifications. This is where it emails a copy of the finished product to the form respondent, so whoever is submitting the form. So if Larry Brown is submitting a picture, it's going to send by checking this box, notifying form respondent, it's going to send a copy to Larry Brown, and I've got it set up to send him a PowerPoint version and send a PPT. Okay. I'm also going to send myself, and this will be whatever email that you've got for your Google account. There you see mine. It's going to send a PowerPoint version, and it's going to send a PDF version of the same file to me so that I have them in my email. Now, you could make this You could add a recipient if you have an AV person for the club. I'm just saying AV person at clubwebsite.com. You could send them the PPT and add it to that list. And that way you can add whoever needs to be on this distribution to receive a copy of the form. Since I just made that up, I'm going to remove it, but I wanted you to see that you can send anybody in your club. You could be the one who creates the form, but the PPT maybe goes to somebody else in your club. So I'm going to remove that for now. Email settings, you can send a personalized email to each person who receives it. You can set up some other things in Form Publisher that I'm not going to go over in this video, but I wanted you to see that you can set, it's important to check this box so that the person who is submitting the form receives a copy of it, and you can add other people to receive copies of it. So let's go down to the next thing. If you do a newsletter and you have a specific or a blog or some email thing that goes out, you can add another template and create a new template. I'm only doing slides, but this is great if you want to have the same information on a Google Doc that you can incorporate into a Word document or something. So going to the next one, regenerate files. So if you have created your form and maybe you have a few responses to it, but you haven't created your member gallery slide yet, you can go back and create the integration of what they submitted into a slide through this regenerate, and you can select a date, maybe a date in the past. I think I started on April 8th, and it's not connected right now to those submissions, so because I deleted them actually, but you can create it by date and you can go back and regenerate those files. The next thing on the Form Publisher menu is status and quotas. If you're using the free version, it allows you 20 files per month. I sprang the 79 bucks to go get the unlimited version, and so it'll show you right here how many slides you've created. So I've got the unlimited files, and that's how you see that. Okay, so that's a real quick rundown through the Form Publisher menu. Great, now what happens? So you will send this form out to your membership. You can either create a link, and I like to shorten it, copy that, copy it into an email, and send it out to my members and say, if you have something for show and tell, click on this form. I can send it to myself. I'll just show you. I'll send it to Stephanie George, and I can say something like, here is the form for this month's show and tell. So I can send that. It'll go out through my Gmail. If you have a member list, you can send your whole membership there or copy it into an email. So I'll just click send. So now it's gone off to me and I get it and I click on it either from my phone or from my laptop or my desktop, and I come to this form and I fill it out. I'm going to fill out each one of these. This is a drop-down menu. I'm going to fill it out as a guest. I'm going to give myself a unique name, and George. This is a demonstration for the video. And I can say materials cats. I think I have several pictures of my cats. Their finish is fur, and they're about 10 pounds each. And there's no turning challenge to them. This is where you could give additional information, like they eat anything they want. And I'm not going to have a critique of this. And I can add a picture. I'm going to go to previously selected because I think it's in here. I don't know what picture this is. I'm just going to include it. I can add a second picture. And I know that these pictures do not go with the description I gave, but I'm just going to submit it. So what happened? What's happening is, yay, my club member was able to submit a form immediately to create a slide. And okay, so now I'm going to show you the regenerate files button. And the regenerate files is there so that if somebody has submitted information previously and you maybe changed your template, or you have new information on the form, you can regenerate the files by date. And so you just go to this pull down menu. I generated a file already on the 24th. Today is the 24th of May. So I'm going to select today's date. It's going to think about it. And now I have this one submission that I can regenerate. So I'm going to check the box there. And if you have a whole bunch of submissions, you can choose which ones at what time. It only shows you the date and time. So I'm going to regenerate that. And it takes it just a moment before it shows up. But I'm going to show you in just a moment what's going to happen. So it takes it a moment. It's going to generate that file. I'm going to pull in my email from another screen, and you're going to see here are the files that I generated. So it generated this form publisher, says undefined guest 601. Remember I said 0601 was going to be my new increment number. So it created the PDF. This came to me as one of the designated output people. It also generated the PowerPoint. So now we're going to see, if I double click on this, it's going to show me what PowerPoint, what images I submitted. And so I can double click that and open in a PowerPoint. And apparently I did a picture of breakfast and a picture of a multi-axis turning. So, and you can see picture one, picture two, picture one, picture two, right and left. So I'm going to slide that back out of the way. So that's what it looks like in email. Anybody who is on the distribution list for that is going to get a copy of those slides. So now I want to show you where those went. So remember, we had designated a directory in here of destination folder and naming convention. So this is the destination folder. If I open up that destination folder, it's going to show you, or show me, all of the slides that got generated. So you can see I actually generated several slides. We're going to look at the ones called guest 601, which is the one of my breakfast and a multi-axis turning. You see it generated 3 files. The gold one is the Google slide format. The orange one with a big P on it is the PowerPoint format, and the red icon with PDF is obviously a PDF format. If you have Google Drive reflected on your hard disk on your computer, either a Mac or a PC, if you've got the Google Sync backup and sync installed, you can see that you can go here and you see those 3 slides already on your drive. So this is fantastic. Now we have gone through installing Form Publisher and we've generated slides. Now, what do you do with those generated slides? I'm going to show you. This is the PowerPoint that I was creating for my club. And I know that a whole bunch of other forms have come in. The great thing about being able to do a slideshow from just people submitting pictures is you can see here we had one member submit pictures of the interactive remote demo workstation that he created. He built this frame with an extra monitor and a computer. He's got several cameras there. People can submit pictures of things that they could not bring in. This is very common. People take a picture right on their lathe. Sometimes we see stuff that's already chucked up or still chucked up. And we see pictures of things that people that are more abstract that people can't bring in. Maybe they're too big or too, you know, like this. Pollinix has been making, you might be familiar with Dust Be Gone masks. She's been making masks. And so this is a picture of her assembly line, which is not something that she'd be able to bring into a club meeting and show us. This is probably not something that this member would be able to bring in and show at a club, but it gives a good demonstration of what we can either do remotely or to kickstart a slideshow or kickstart the show and tell at a club meeting where the object that they're trying to show and tell is too big or has other dimensions that they just can't bring into a club meeting. So what are we going to do now? We know that we have an additional submission and we want to include that in our PowerPoint slideshow. So I've been just putting these slides together, and now I want to insert that extra slide. So I go over here in PowerPoint to New Slide, and I click the pull down arrow and I go all the way down to Reuse Slides. And I'm going to show you a little trick here. So I've already browsed to this member's slides, and I can go down to the bottom of all the slides that I have, and I see that the last 2 slides I had the picture on the left and the description on the right. So maybe for this one, I want to just, using the reuse slides, it brings up a browser menu, and I browsed to the slides that I want to include. I'm going to use the slide you just saw. So we know that it was called Guest 601. And here are those slides. All I have to do is click, and those slides are in my slideshow, and I can browse to the next thing and look for, you know, the next slide that I want to include. So I want to include these. I'm not going to show you how to use PowerPoint, but anywhere that you want to include slides, you can put the pointer there. I'm going to click here and click here. And you see how quickly I'm putting together a slideshow. I could say at this point, we're done. Maybe I want to run spell checker because lacquer is misspelled. So this is one of the advantages that you can do using PowerPoint. And so now I've got my whole slideshow assembled. I can save it, and I'm going to save this as a sample. And whenever it's time for me to show the slideshow, I can just click on the slideshow and step through it slide by slide for my club. There. And I have a whole slideshow assembled. Everything is spelled correctly because the members themselves, their names are spelled correctly. They have the name of the item that they want. We know what it's made of, how it was finished. So, and we can even have a little sense of humor. When Paula submitted this, she said she was way too busy. So it's a quick way for your members to submit slides and for you to not spend a lot of time in creating the slideshow by resizing photos, putting them in a slideshow, and you're done. So the next month I can go back to my my form. I can go to the responses. I can clear out all the responses. I can delete all the responses, and I can start again. So I can send the new form out to my members, have them generate slides, generate something in PowerPoint very rapidly, and then I have that I can share on our website. But if I want to turn it into a PDF, I can just use PowerPoint and save it as a PDF. I can put it in a newsletter or an email, and it didn't take a whole lot of time. So I hope that this helps you walk through the very daunting instructions, but it's really not that bad. So drop me a line, sgeorgefl@gmail.com, or find me on the Lucid Woodturners website. And I hope that this worked for you. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much, and I'll see you another time.